nervous, but we've rehearsed a lot, and so we feel pretty prepared at the same time.
Let's just see how it goes. I hope it goes well.
We're excited.
Yeah. Do you remember the last time you were sick? Did you get dizzy or dehydrated? Feel nauseous or fatigued? Most of us have experienced some form of electrolyte imbalance. This is often caused by an imbalance of electrolytes such as calcium, chloride, magnesium, phosphate, potassium, or sodium.
However, for people with chronic illnesses, electrolytes can be an emergency telltale of whether an underlying condition is developing into a harmful disease or if a negative progression of a diagnosed disease is present and a doctor needs to be contacted.
In between doctor's appointments, people can be left with uncertainty about their condition and symptoms. More frequent hospital visits can increase strain on patients and their chances of contracting an illness, such as MRSA, COVID, or C. diff.
Perhaps one of your loved ones has heart disease. How do they keep track of their health outside of visits to the doctor's office and lab?
How do they know when there is something wrong and it's time to call their doctor?
Could there potentially be an easier way to detect their condition's progression?
Next into the tank is Sarah Chon, Elizabeth Martin, and Gabby DeOrto. Sarah is a determined student and musician who is currently ranked in the top 4% of her class. She is a violinist in 3 orchestras within our community and is currently concertmaster at the Youth Symphony Orchestra in Manchester. She is part of 3 honor societies and is secretary of the Science National Honor Society. She is currently an AP Biology intern aspiring towards a career in the biomedical sciences. Elizabeth is a passionate and committed student in the top 5% of her class. She is in 4 honor societies, is an AP Bio intern, and captain of the varsity ski team. Elizabeth does crew for Greater Lawrence Rowing and is currently a member of the FRC robotics team. She has earned several national awards for sculpture and is looking to pursue the biomedical sciences with a pre-med track in college. Gabby is a creative and dedicated high honors student. She is currently enrolled in AP Physics C on top of other challenging AP and honors courses. She also excels in various mediums of art, including drawing, digital art, painting, and photography, having been recognized in multiple state art shows. Gabby plans to major in chemical and biomolecular engineering.
Good evening, Sharks. I'm Sarah.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Elizabeth.
Did you know that over 1/3 of people in the world suffer from chronic conditions of heart disease, kidney disease, and diabetes? That's 3 out of every 10 people here tonight.
An electrolyte imbalance is a symptom of many high-risk diseases and can cause a number of complications to arise. The problem is that doctors and patients don't know of this imbalance until after the condition flares up, typically sending the patient to the hospital. Today, there's no real proactive at-home testing of electrolytes, and like the millions of diabetics who do daily glucose checks, people want a monitoring device for their electrolytes that's at home and non-invasive.
Many years ago, my grandmother had one of her heart valves replaced. After the surgery, 2 to 3 times per year, she would feel dizzy and fear that there was something wrong with her heart, so she'd go to the hospital. Time and time again, doctors proved that this was just an electrolyte imbalance, and it was easily treatable. However, one of these trips proved to be fatal when she contracted MRSA, which is a serious bacterial infection that is threatening hospitals all over the world. She'd passed away within 7 days of contracting this bacteria, a totally preventable death had she been able to track her own electrolytes.
Our solution, the Elek. The Elek is a non-invasive saliva-based testing device for use at home. It uses state-of-the-art electrochemical sensors, readers, and software to monitor, track, and record your electrolyte levels regularly. It is individualized to each person's baseline levels, condition, and age, and it can alert you to contact your care provider when it is necessary to do so.
Being able to take a more proactive role in your testing can better result in more care and concern for yourself and your own health. Oh, and I think it's a little friendlier than having to pee in a cup and carry it.
So saliva is becoming a very important diagnostic fluid. Over the past few years, many clinical studies from around the world have provided data on the effectiveness of associating saliva electrolytes with health conditions.
And we have communicated with many professionals in the medical field, from PAs and RNs to primary care and specialist MDs, who have all positively commented on the usefulness and need for a product of this type. Our target group is people with diabetes, heart disease, kidney, and liver disease, but there are many other groups of people who would also benefit from using our device to measure their electrolytes.
Other affected groups range from former and recovering drug and alcoholics, people with autoimmune diseases and eating disorder remissions, athletes who have strict diet and training regimens, to even nursing homes could all utilize a device like this. Business-wise, our product has a lot of potential. The medical industry is one of the fastest growing segments, and in-home medical devices specifically are estimated to grow 34% annually, reaching $60 billion by 2024.
So we estimate a project budget of $575. This will cover the sensors, CPU, and power systems. We're going to be using an Arduino as a CPU, and Bluetooth LE will serve as a way to connect our device to the phone app. So there's going to be two components, which are the sensor reader and the handle, which will store the CPU, power systems, and Bluetooth LE chip.
So Sharks, in front of you is our subscription box. This is how we plan to sell our product. We will do $180 for the original price of the handle and sensor pack, and then $99 for replacement sensors delivered every 6 months.
For us, we are estimating a scaled production price for about $40 for the sensor pack and $20 for the handle.
So Sharks,
will you stand by us
in our journey to a non-invasive future?
So how well is the science known about the correlation between saliva and blood? Because presumably an electrolyte imbalance is important in your blood and not so much in your saliva.
Yes, so UCLA has done many tests because they have a patent pending product for something sort of on the lines of this, and their extensive studies have shown that electrolytes do show up in saliva. Some of them are even more concentrated in saliva and more accurate in saliva than in blood. But for our product, you wouldn't need to correspond your blood and your saliva. You would just take a saliva test as your baseline, and then from there it would compare next.
Yeah, so when you're healthy, you're going to go to your doctor and you're going to get your baseline test of electrolyte. That basically is what you're going to compare to when you might have a problem.
Will personalized suggestions be available to people who use this based off their electrolyte levels at the device level, or will it be left up to the physician to provide those suggestions?
Well, there will be some suggestions that are given in our app. Our app is going to have like a general tips feature with some at-home remedies for, like, say, low potassium, have some bananas. But if it's too drastic, this is something that it will tell you, okay, you might want to contact your physician. You're looking a bit past a healthy boundary for this electrolyte, and it will let you know you should contact your physician. But for small discrepancies, it will have some tips and feedback.
Can you walk me through the various components that you're planning to prototype with and how much each of those costs, and then eventually how much a full prototype would estimate?
Yes. So these sensors, they're going to be, we're looking to buy from 2 different companies just to make sure, say in future, that if there's we have an issue with one company, we can outsource to a different one. For the prototype, it's going to be about $360 for for a reusable sensor, and we're going to get some single-use ones also, which would be about $140. And then the rest is going to be for possibly developing our own circuit board with just so we can meet the microprocessing requirements that we need, and then power systems and Bluetooth LE chips. But scaled it is going to be really small prices for the sensors, like under $3 per sensor.
I have a silly question. Why doesn't this already exist?
No, that's like a good question because, yeah, but saliva is just becoming this new diagnostic fluid, which Elizabeth had said earlier, and certain companies are already jumping on the ability to make a certain sensor for a pH in saliva, and UCLA has, I mentioned earlier, a patent pending product for a implant on your tooth, and it will, it uses electrolytes to get some sort of data. But aside from that, there isn't really anything out here because it's just so new.
There are some other there's another sensor on the market, but it is only a single-use one electrolyte sensor. Since we're combining multiple electrolytes, we differentiate from them in that case. But there is some products, like it does exist. It's just for a very specific type of paralysis.
So again, not being technical, and I apologize if what I'm saying sounds weird, but does the correct electrolyte level, is that determined by body structure in addition to conditions?
The only factor is age. Like gender doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's just your age, and that could be like factored in.
Yeah, so we're going to be factoring, say, age, like I mentioned this before. So we're going to be factoring in, the age and the health condition, and that's kind of part of how we're personalizing it to each individual.
Right. So tall people, short people, small, that makes no difference.
Age is the only difference.
Yeah, okay. And not what you eat has nothing to do with electrolytes.
Excuse me, what?
What you eat.
So there'd be a 20 to 30 minute fasting period, which we do on a daily basis.
But what you eat on a daily basis in no way would affect or change the measurement of the electrolytes?
No, it wouldn't affect the measurement. Obviously, if you're a healthy eater, you might be more electrolyte balanced.
Oh, I didn't know if the body, as it's consuming the food, and breaks it down.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah, okay.
Pardon me if I missed this earlier. What is your ask in funding, and what will you need to do with that?
Our ask in funding is $575. $360 will go to a reusable sensor that can last like 1 to 2 years, and then there's going to be $140 to get some single-use sensors, and then the rest is going to the Bluetooth LE chip, which is fairly insignificant price-wise, and then also developing our own circuit board in the future, which is also fairly cheap.
What do your plans look like for getting this into the hands of people that need it? And what's your general go-to-market strategy if you had this produced and you have the product already ready for it?
So it would be we would really like to sell it either to like an intermediate, like either it would be like the hospitals, or so then they could distribute it towards people who they either think need it, or then there's obviously the athletes and stuff like that who could just directly purchase it. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, so one example is like with cardiologists, we were talking with one, and he talked about how when his patients are in the hospital, they're always measuring the electrolytes, and potassium in particular, they look at, and when the patient's being given drugs like diuretics, it really fluctuates their electrolyte levels. And then it prolongs the time that the patient has to keep coming in and out of the hospital, which just decreases patient quality of life. And if we can provide something that hospitals could give to their patients to lower the time that they have to go back and forth from the hospital, it would really benefit the patients.
And then, as we mentioned earlier, our core marketing strategy is a subscription service also. And the app will remind you, say, okay, your sensors need to be updated. And that's going to be our core strategy.
So a question from a user's point of view, is there any cleansing they have to do of the unit after each use, given they've shoved, the saliva-based, coated sensor into the...
Yeah, so the chemistry of it is kind of delicate, so it's going to have to just be mild soap and water, which will do the job very effectively.
Okay.
And it will protect your sensors.
And if they don't do that regularly, what happens?
So the sensors are going to be coated with, say, previous electrolytes, so that is going to it's going to impact the results. But the nice thing is that we'll be able to detect, like, oh, there's way too many electrolytes present. This is not even reasonable or possible. We also have a calibration fluid that we're going to put with the subscription box, which you can check like once or twice a month, or however, like up to your comfort level, to see how many times you would like just to double check, like, okay, the sensors are working, that kind of situation.
So are you viewing this as a prescribed device, or is this something that someone could just buy without a prescription?
Someone could just buy it without, we're looking for it to be like a prescribed device so it'll be covered by insurance, but since we have other target groups, like say athletes, we had a huge survey, and the majority of athletes actually said that this would be beneficial to them. So that could be like, say, through a middleman, say like Amazon, that could be purchased.
Okay, thank you.
We feel really good.
Very relieved, like emotionally, but then I think that we got really what we wanted to say out there.
Yeah, we definitely got our point across. I feel like we answered the questions very effectively, and also like once you got into the Q&A, I don't know, like the Q&A halfway through, once you just relaying the information in the research, it just kind of like calmed me down personally.
I feel like we got a pretty decent support. I don't even know if that's the right word to say from the Sharks. They didn't seem super aggressive. They seemed, I guess, interested in what we were having to say, and I guess that was really nice to hear that we weren't getting shut down.
That was definitely a positive.
What's going on, Elek? I thought you guys had a very fantastic personal pitch that really resonated with a lot of us. You identified target markets. You did a great job with that. My personal concern would be my own understanding of the technology. You guys were the ones to school me on where we are in that sort of emerging technology. So I just simply don't know enough about this target market to be able to make a educated opinion on yours. But I really liked your pitch and the way you described everything.
I want to start by saying that your presentation was wonderful. Bringing in the personal, effect it had was really good. We think you're actually a little bit ahead of the curve, which is a really good thing. And the question is, does the technology currently exist to accurately provide the measurements that is needed? We think it's a great concept. Again, the presentation was wonderful, and we think it really can help a lot of people if it can accurately measure.
Yeah. And the one thing that made us feel that's possible to overcome was the concept of doing something differential from a baseline. Meaning that concept is a way of saying, well, if you don't really understand it, you do understand that maybe a change is something that you should look at more carefully, and that as a diagnostic tool is useful.